Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Adam Heath Avitable.
This is Dating Kinda Sucks, a podcast about dating, sex, and relationships. This week, we'll be talking about virginity. Is it real or merely a social construct? Enjoy the show.
And if you're joining us on YouTube, thank you for watching. And please hit all the notifications, subscribe, like, leave us a comment, tell us what you think, and we appreciate you.
You know, today was going to be the topless episode. I can't even remember. I was going to say titty episode, but that didn't make any sense. The topless episode of Dating Kinda Sucks, but for everyone on YouTube, because that makes no sense for a podcast. Because Adam didn't want to wear a shirt earlier, and
I
he
wasn't
said
wearing a shirt.
special.
I was like, I'm not going to, and we'll just do a topless episode, and then it'll encourage people to go to YouTube until they realize that it was only me being topless, and that's not nearly as tantalizing. So that's
Patreon only now.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be safe for our Patreon. I mean, yet again, it'll just be me anyway, so it doesn't matter. But you know, it'll be safe for our Patreon. No, I decided to put a shirt on and be a normal human being. So here we are.
Here we are, the usual black attire shirt, but it's okay. You're consistent.
Yes. So I bring my laundry because I'm staying in a little condo that has like a shitty washer and dryer, and so my mother's just like, just bring your laundry over here to the house or whatever, and I usually do it, but sometimes she like sneaks away and folds it when I'm not realizing it's done yet, you know. She's just like, she's such a mom, you know. But today she was like, so you know, I don't know if everything matches. You only have 15 black shirts and 15 black pairs of underwear, and you know.
Wait, your underwear is black too?
Yeah.
Everything is black?
It makes sense just to buy everything one color. I don't have to worry about it. So
I guess.
She thinks it's ridiculous. And I was like, it's easy. It's always easy. I can just grab anything and it's going to work.
You are Steve Jobs. You wear just that same outfit every day. That's your uniform.
Or have you seen Free Guy? I'm basically basically Ryan Reynolds' character. Essentially, he has a closet full of the same outfits, except my clothes are sitting in a chair, not on a closet, you know, because I'm an adult. That's what you do with clean laundry, is you just put it in a chair.
Yes. Well, yes. I don't expect you to have hot pink underwear or anything either. It's the beard that's your accent.
Exactly. Accent color is the beard.
Mm-hmm.
So it is August. I can't believe it is already fucking August. This is insane. We are more than halfway through the year. I feel like, I don't know, it's really odd to me. And and so we've done
a lot though. I mean, yes, it's August, but also a lot of shit's happened in the past 8 months where I'm like, yeah, I guess it is August. Okay. Yeah. Keep going.
You've got some big changes coming up before the end of the year. Like
hopefully
moving away from Nashville.
Hopefully. Nothing's set in stone, honestly.
You'd better fucking move after all
Who
this.
fucking knows?
You cannot. You will not survive another year in Nashville, I don't think. Like
I'm aware.
Mentally and emotionally, you'll just go insane.
Yeah. I mean, well, so that's the thing, is that Roy and I next week are traveling to check out some areas in the state of Washington to see if those fit our vibe. And originally our eyes were set on that and we were locked in, and then it just opened up a can of worms of what about this place? What about that place? And then we just got so confused on where to go because there's just too many options. You know, when you just have too many options, then it's like you're paralyzed by the choice of it all. That's basically what happened last week. So we're still traveling and checking out apartments and stuff, but it's like, well, plan B is that if we still don't figure it out before October, that we extend our lease a little bit longer and then have more time to figure it out. And of course,
that would be ridiculous.
Yes, that would be ridiculous, number one. And then of course, too, I'm traveling the entire month of September. So it's not like I could use that month to go to other parts of the country and check out, oh, do I like this city? No, I'll be in Dublin and then I'll be in Romania for another 2 weeks after that.
Right.
So I'm no fucking help. And then we need to make the decision to move or yeah.
And then, of course, in moving, if you guys push it back any later, then you're going to be moving in the middle of winter across the northern United States, which would
Fully
be
aware.
terribly stupid. So if you were on your own, I feel like this decision would have almost already been made. Like, you'd still be going out there to look at places, but you like, I feel like you would come back from where you'd go with like, I signed a place, like I signed a lease.
It's different though, because I don't think I would be considering the West Coast as a single person.
But if
cost
you were,
is a huge,
yeah, I mean,
cost
I'm saying,
is a huge factor though.
I mean, right, but I mean, but I'm saying like if you had settled on a location, then
right, yeah. If I knew, if I said I like this city, I want to move here, yeah, I would just pack up my shit and move for sure. But I don't think I'd be looking at those areas if that was my mindset. Would be slightly different if it was just me as far as cost. But yes, similar concept of just pick up and go.
Well, I remember during law school, Amy and I sitting there and saying, well, what do we want to do after law school? You know, like, where are we going to go? We don't want to stay in St. Louis because it's St. Louis. And, there's really.
But I like St. Louis. What's wrong with St. Louis?
There's nothing of value. It's just like a little like speed bump in the middle of the country, basically. I mean, there's really nothing there. In my opinion, I mean, I've never really, I just never really got excited about anything around there. So we were like, where can we go? We were looking at, and Amy's like, well, I've always wanted to live in Los Angeles. And I was like, okay, like, that's fine. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. And so that's, we actually signed a lease sight unseen because she went out there, she got a job offer. And so she flew out there for an interview, didn't really have a chance to like look at apartments, but kind of did a tour of the area and found, oh, this area is not bad or whatever. And then was like, well, let's just look online. So we looked online and found an apartment and rented it without actually seeing it at all. And that was the only scary part. But I was like, but what's the worst that can happen? I was like, we get out there and we have a place that's not great for a year. I was like,
right,
you can always
exactly.
move again if it's not great. It's only a fucking year. And, that's not really that much time in the span of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That might be part of our option is going, well, let's just trust this one looks good online and go for it. But then it's
just try it, just like go and live there, and then experience
it's just a huge commitment as far as cost goes with moving from Nashville to the West Coast and anticipating spending at least $5,000 to move both of us out there and all of our shit. And then once we're out there, there's really
probably deduct on your taxes if you knew how to do that.
That's probably fair, but I don't know. That's the only thing that's kind of holding me back, but not really, because we're going there next week to just check out everything. So hopefully we like the area. And my dumbass has been looking into astrocartography to look at our signs to go, well, because this is when we were so lost in where we were going to move. I know you're like losing your shit right now. We were so lost in where we wanted to go because he gets pay bumps in certain areas. So obviously that's incentivizing him. But I'm like, California is still really fucking expensive. I don't know. So then I was like, you know what time of the day were you born? He's like, what the fuck is that going to do? I was like, where were you born? And I pulled up his chart and my chart and mapped it and said, and he was just dying laughing. He's like, what the fuck, Sarah? And I was just on my
you know what? No, I say, oh my God, but except this is what he gets, because you were kind of like all set, and then he was the one who was kind of like, hey, what about these areas? He started thinking about other areas, and so like he kind of opened the door to you going.
And I went, let's let the universe decide.
Fucking astrocartography.
Yes. Based on your signs and your sun, your rising signs and all of this stuff. So certain lines mean good things, certain lines mean stay away from. So based off of what I learned, because a couple people on Instagram, once I said, astrology babes, help me out, people were saying, don't go off these lines, look at this. And then I watched a couple tutorials and I was like, I feel like I'm not an expert, but I know a little bit to be dangerous. And I looked at the lines and ours overlap on the West Coast. So could be. I mean, we were already gonna go over there anyways, but it looks good from an astrology standpoint.
Good confirmation bias is always fantastic.
Fuck yeah!
Oh my God. So, what else is going on in your life other than your crazy batshit nonsense like this?
I don't think it's that crazy. It's just a day in my life. Let's see. We decided to spice it up earlier this week. Today's Wednesday, but on Monday we decided to go out to the movies because, dude, I just think we're getting so bored with we're doing stuff on the weekends, and then throughout the week it's like, okay, what are we doing? So I went to the grocery store, bought a bunch of meals to make something new to spice that up during the week. But then I also figured, let's do a date night Monday night. Sounds great. We go to the movie theater. Well, we go out to dinner first. We just got like a normal fucking like fried chicken meal or whatever with fries. Just not anything out of the ordinary for our diets, I guess. And go see what? Nope. And it's like 8 o'clock. So we had to pick a movie that I wouldn't fall, a time that I wouldn't fall asleep halfway through too. That was a
God.
consideration. Because
You are a
I'll
90-year-old woman. You know that?
yes. Because I knew I would fall
Let me
asleep.
consult my charts before we move, and then I need to go to the movies early or I'll fall asleep.
It'd be like that. I don't have an answer for that, except for that's my life. But so we get to the movie, we start watching it. About an hour and 15 minutes in, I feel like I'm dying. And by dying, I mean I started looking around for things I could vomit into. And he brought his water bottle, but it has a very small, top.
Oh,
so
God.
not much vomit's going in that.
You don't want to puke in a water bottle. That would be such a mess.
That would be very bad. So then I was like holding my jacket going, well, I guess it's you, kid. You're getting puked on. So I'm sitting there. He's like, are you okay? I was like, I'm on my period, which gives me terrible migraines. I'm crampy and dying. And then I feel really nauseous. And then on top of feeling nauseous, I'm not sure if it's nausea or I'm also just going to shit myself. And the outfit I was wearing was a romper, like to the ankle romper, pants and all. But I'm buttoned into it and pinned into it because one of the buttons is broken, so I pinned it in. So I'm in this thing. So it's not just an easy escape route that way. So I just sat there and hoped to God that I would not shit or vomit in the theater. And of course, Roy's like, we can leave if you're not feeling well, which I thought he was enjoying the movie. And he was like, he was like, it's fine. We could leave early if you want. But we stayed until the end. And I was like, I'm still dying. We have to get home. I start driving and start making these terrible coughing sounds. And he's like, this does not sound good for you. I'm like, it's not good for me. I pull over in a McDonald's parking lot and make like another really bad cough / like, those coughs right before you're going to throw up where you're like, this is the one. And then you do that's what I thought was going to happen. So he drove home and I surprisingly didn't throw up, but I was dead after. So that was our date night.
Well, that's lovely. And I will say that while I'm glad you didn't, I really also partially, not because I would never wish that on you, but I kind of wish you'd shit yourself in the movie theater just because the story alone is just like so ridiculous. But I'm glad you did not. But I still kind of wish you had. And yes, I'm very familiar with that cough right before you puke because that's what you did when I had picked you up when we were in Florida that night after we went out late, and I needed to pull into the Honey Baked Ham parking lot so you could puke in the bushes, which I still have to put. I should post them. I should find the video of that and put that on Patreon. I thought
you just had the photos. I didn't think you had a video.
I think I took a video of it, but I need to look.
I'm holding onto the tree for dear life as I'm vomiting. Yeah,
that was fun time. Yeah, I remember you're like pull over, pull over, and I had to pull over just so you could fucking puke in the bushes. Oh my God.
So what Roy did make me feel better a little bit because he always tells the story about his ex where he's like, well, don't worry. It could be worse. You could be her. And he's told the story another time when I was sick and shitting my brains out, that she was walking the dog and midway through walking the dog, she had to just go. And so she like shit on the lawn and then like pulled her pants back up and came inside and asked him, she's like, should I clean that up? I don't feel good. Like, should I go clean that up? He's like, no, it's fine. You already shit yourself. Just go to bed. But what he failed to mention that I heard for the first time Monday night was that this happened after he broke up with her.
Oh, wow.
I would just kill myself.
Yeah.
I would literally just kill myself. And I was like, you left that out. I feel so bad for her. That would be my 13th reason. That would be enough. Yep.
The 13th reason.
That would be enough.
I just feel so, imagine the neighbor looking on their lawn and being like, what the fuck kind of dog was that?
Oh my God.
Can you imagine to be like, Like that's what was that? Like they're trying to see if there's like a wild animal around or something. Like just that is awful.
R.I.P. But yeah,
Yes.
that did make me feel slightly better for a second, and then I just kept hoping I wasn't gonna vomit or shit myself in my own car. So, but hey, always a good reminder. I could be that bad.
Yeah, that's true. It's always good to know that other people have done things that are worse and more embarrassing than you have. It's always nice.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got. Those are my updates for this week.
That's
Thank
your
God.
update for now. All
That's
right.
it.
Well, there we go. Hopefully, and when are you flying out west?
On Wednesday, so a week from today.
Okay, so we'll probably have an episode after you get back, and we'll get to maybe hear
We'll
about
regroup.
whether or not you guys made any fucking decisions or not, or if you're all still wishy washy and consulting ancient mariner,
Well,
logs and fisher and farmers
are you done?
almanacs, and
Are you done?
maybe throwing some bones into the woods, and maybe doing tea leaves too, and then you could get a magic 8 ball and see what happens there too.
That was the longest insignificant things you've ever said. But okay. Well, the other thing, not to drag this out any further, I could get a house. But I can't get a house in Nashville. But then I'm thinking,
Right.
well, fuck the West Coast. I can't get a house in the West Coast. Let's stay in the Midwest, guys. And then I'm like, I'm going to hate my life in the Midwest, but I can afford a house. So it's one of those toss. And that's where all the other options come up. I mean, yeah, I could buy a house in Cincinnati or Louisville or St. Louis but I don't think I want to be in any of those places compared to the West Coast.
You can buy a house later. You're still young enough. You might as well go enjoy living in new places and experiencing them. And that's what I think.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah,
Speaking of traveling and visiting new places.
Oh yeah.
How's that for a segue?
A segue. Are we gonna take a quick break and then come right back to that segment? Or do you
even though it's not in our agenda, you didn't write it in our agenda. Why don't we do that? We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. Well, we're back, and we have once again our brand new segment. This is the second time we're doing this, and
wait! You get to shit on me before the break, and then bring us back from the break that you didn't think we needed.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No, I thought we needed one, but I was just saying apparently you didn't. But we have our.
I suggested it. What are you talking?
We have our brand new segment that that everyone's talking about, and so without further ado, it's What to See with Sarah G.
Yay. Okay. And just to recap, this segment is all about places to consider visiting, whether you're with a significant other, on a date, or by yourself. This week, let's get familiar with Lisbon, Portugal. Located in the southern Europe, in the country of Portugal, Lisbon is known for its sunny weather, colorful buildings, fantastic food, and friendly people. Why do you look like you're laughing at me already?
Let's get familiar with Lisbon, Portugal. Located in Portugal. I'm sorry. I just started laughing when you said that.
I know. I was like, well, if you didn't know, it's in Portugal.
If you didn't know that Lisbon, Portugal is in Portugal. It's in Portugal.
Maybe they don't know that Portugal is a country. I don't know.
I mean, that is, you know what? Depending on who some of our listeners are, that is probably very true.
It is a country in southern Europe. Yes.
All right.
Yes. Anyways, thank you, Adam, for that one. So one of the biggest things I struggle with once landing in a new country and dealing with a time change is how to leave the airport and then figure out how to get to my hotel. And that was one of the nice things. This is just like a starter. One of the nice things about landing in Lisbon was that they have fantastic public transportation. So once you land at the airport, you just walk right outside and there's a metro station right there. And then you could just connect to any of the other stations that you're trying to go to, which is really nice and convenient. It's also worth mentioning, though, these were probably the cleanest and nicest trains that I've been on. And like the stations themselves were covered in beautiful tiles with lots of really vibrant colors. And again, it was really clean and well organized. So I enjoyed that aspect because as you're traveling throughout a city, if you're not jumping in taxis or Ubers all the time, more chances than not, you're going to be using their metro system if they have it. And this was like this is a nice one in this country. So for the American traveler looking to go abroad, Lisbon's relatively inexpensive, where a meal can run anywhere from $7 to $15, and a nice hotel room or Airbnb is around $100 a night. When I was visiting the area, I was there in November, which is their slower season compared to the summer months because people like to visit when it's sunnier and warmer weather. So I think I got a better deal on some of the places than maybe in high season. So keep that in mind. And it's still good weather. It's better than it just being freezing or cold. That's the same thing, just being freezing. So just keep that in mind though. Another thing with Lisbon that could be good, could be bad, is that it's incredibly hilly. So some areas, and this was a concern of mine, but still cool. So you're huffing and puffing to get up to, all of these cool places. You're taking a million steps and all of the inclines, but the views are amazing. And they have these really cool places called miradouros, which are elevated viewpoints to take in the city. And locals tend to spend the evenings watching the sunsets there. And a lot of artists are selling their art on the corners, and musicians are there playing music, which just adds to the ambience of the sunset. So even though you're sweating and dying from walking up all the steps and hills, it ends up being worth it. So what about places to visit? The Alfama district is one of Lisbon's oldest parts of town, and it's filled with shops and cafes. If you're wanting to explore more of this area, definitely consider jumping on a tram. This is probably where the steepest inclines are. And a lot of the photos that you see taken of the city are mostly in this area. So photographer friends of mine like Adam, this would be like a cool place for you to check out.
Except I'm not walking up any fucking
hills. That's why I take the tram. The tram. Every time I was walking, I'd see the tram pass. I go, fuck, I just need to get on the tram. I'm dying. And then you got on the tram. While in the area, visit Lisbon Cathedral and take a look at the architectural style. One of the unexpected things to see once you're inside are the blueprints and the maps showing how all of the earthquakes have damaged the cathedral over the centuries, and it's been rebuilt because of this multiple times. If you're part of the self-guided tour, you can go up the stairs, and then outside of the cathedral, there's a little walkway outside where you can overlook the street and then see the water like across the way, which is a really cool view as well. Another area of town to visit is Barrio Alto. And if you're looking for nightlife and some amazing restaurants, this is the place to be. Definitely recommend staying around this area, but not exactly in it. Don't make the mistake that I made. I stayed a little bit north of the bars and restaurants, and then when I came back, I stayed right in it. And luckily I had earplugs, but if I didn't, I would have been up till 3 a.m. with all the other people who were partying and with all that nightlife. So just know, don't stay right in it. Just Google Maps yourself and stay a little bit outside. As far as food goes in Barrio Alto, get a table at either Tas Cardoso or Acevicheira. The wait times are typically longer. I know you're like nodding your head that I didn't fuck that up, right?
No, I was actually very impressed that you pronounced both those.
Okay, cool. So the wait times are going to be longer for those two restaurants. They're pretty popular. So just check what times they open and try to get there earlier. I know that's like a cheesy American tourist thing to do since we typically eat earlier in the evening. But if you don't want the long wait, then definitely do that. And then if you just can't get a table there, there's Crispy Mafa or Mafa. I'm not sure how that one's pronounced actually. And you can grab some fried food there. It's a very local spot with a lot of different fried chicken options and burgers and French fries. And I actually had a lot of good conversations with locals there. So definitely a spot to check out. After dinner, you got to get dessert. And the pastry in Portugal is pastel de nata, which is a Portuguese egg custard tart pastry, and it is dusted with cinnamon. If you don't like, I don't know, just give it a shot. Like it was good, but it's just not what you'd expect. But you got to try it. There is a really famous spot for these pastries called, and I'm going to butcher this. This is Pastéis de Belém that baked the original pastry in 1837. I did see reviews, though, saying you can get a good one basically anywhere. So don't feel upset if you can't make it all the way to the other side of the city to go to this specific place. But if you're there, check it out. And then for a free afternoon, if you have some time, it's worth considering taking a boat trip to see the city from an entirely different perspective. This is also a great date idea as well. Can't say that together.
A little bit of a tongue twister there.
Great date. But I booked a 2-hour boat trip through Airbnb experiences and spent about $40 to ride into the sunset with some wine and cheese in hand. And I got to sail under the famous 25 de Abril Bridge, which looks a lot like the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, if you didn't know any better. And sailing by Lisbon. Sailing by Lisbon is a cool experience and not that much of a splurge either. Speaking of splurge, when you're walking through Parque Eduardo VII is Praia no Parque. And this is a really fancy restaurant if you're wanting to ball out for dinner. But if you're just in the park during the day, it's a good spot for a little afternoon snack or dessert. And then a couple of notable mentions before I wrap this up. Definitely check out Pink Street for Instagram photos. If you're about that, that's like one of the streets you see all the photos in. And then the Timeout Market for a variety of food and drinks. And last but not least, the Santa Gesta elevator, which is a cool landmark that was used to connect the different areas of the city. Because like I said, there's a lot of steep hills and the locals weren't trying to do any of that either. So they just took the elevator to the other parts of town to beat the elevation. So check out that elevator as well.
Is it like a not a vertical elevator, but like one that goes angled or something?
No, it literally just goes straight up, and then there's like a platform, and then you're on the other side. The middle
It's
of
likely, by the way, it's Santa Justa, I would guess, because J is usually
what did I say?
Not you don't just say the J sound and
yeah,
I know.
So you're right. You're right.
My guess, but
I didn't tour it because there's a really long line to go up it, but it's a really cool structure. It looks kind of like Gothic architecture style, but yeah, after walking up and down that, I was like, yeah, I could see why you would need this elevator. But yeah, that's what to see this week in Lisbon with me, Sarah G. Yay.
Yeah, that was good. That sounds interesting. Yeah, the trams sound very important, like a very important aspect of the hills. Because I remember when you were there and complaining about the walking, especially because like, you got groceries too. Like, didn't you get groceries at one point?
No, that was in Colombia. No,
Colombia. Okay,
yeah, but still, if I would have had to get groceries there, it would have sucked. But yeah. It's tough because the metro covers only so much that you still have to walk up steps and do inclines, whether you're going to and from a train station.
Take an Uber.
I mean, well, my thing when I travel, right. I don't always get a card if I'm not going to be there for a long time. Well, I never ever get like a SIM card for my phone, so I'm always hacking Wi-Fi, which makes getting an Uber a little challenging unless I'm starting from my hotel or Airbnb where I know I'm going to have signal. So that's why I don't always order.
That makes
them.
sense.
But
makes sense. Well, very cool. Well, hopefully some of our listeners will find themselves in Lisbon and we'll be able to use that as a guide. I feel like that's a pretty comprehensive guide.
And let me know if you visit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I gotta let Sarah know what you think and if she has good recommendations or if they're not.
One more thing that I forgot to add in this was you don't need to know Portuguese. I like to travel knowing a little bit of the language. You really don't need to know Portuguese to do well here in the entire country. Really, a lot of people speak both Portuguese and English, and then some even speak Spanish or another language after that. So the language barrier didn't exist, and it's also a really safe country for solo female travelers as well. So just keep that in mind. Like I looked at a lot of places that listed, the top 10 places for female travelers, and this was one of the ones on there. So I felt incredibly safe versus other European countries.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
So we were supposed to record last night, but then Adam had an impromptu date 90 minutes from when we were supposed to record. So I know nothing about this date and what happened last night.
Well, I don't necessarily feel it was because of the day we didn't record.
Well, there were other factors, but we had a time
like
limit.
An hour later than we were supposed to, and you still weren't quite ready and everything too.
I was still recovering from dying the night before too, so forgive me. But yes.
I had someone on Tinder that I was talking to who just not aggressively, but like firmly was just like, "Hey, I'd like to see you. What are you doing tonight?" And I was like, "Well, I'm about to record the podcast, and we'll be doing that in a little bit." And she goes, "Well, how long can that take? How about do you want to meet?" And like she'll say, yeah, I know. If only she knew. She's like, "How about I don't mind coming over and seeing you if you want to meet at like 9 or something." And I was like, sure, why not? I'm gonna be up. I'm not gonna be tired. I don't mind putting pants back on and going out.
Wow, that's a really rare occurrence.
I know. Well, I also had not been out to at all much, so it was like I was kind of in the mood for it, and I have found my version of Ale House now since I've been here.
Which is what's the
Melvin's. Melvin's Public House. Yeah, it's in it's about 10 minutes away, and just a little, kind of a little dive bar with food. But now I kind
They
of
know
know
your
that.
name.
Yeah, they know my name now, and they know my drink
Okay.
and everything, so it works out pretty well.
Look at you
Um,
being a local in a new spot. I love
I
that.
know. Well, and so we went. She was like, I don't mind driving up there. That's fine. And then when we canceled, when we were like, hey, we'll reschedule our recording. I said, hey, by the way, I'm actually available a little earlier. And she started talking about, well, do you want to drive down to me? Because she's about a half hour away, essentially. And that's the one thing where I am in a place called Midway in Utah, which is midway between, I feel like, the middle of the state. It is on one side of a mountain range, and then Salt Lake City's on the other side of the mountain range. So even though it's only 20 miles away, like as the crow flies, it's an hour to drive there. And
Because you're driving through the literal
because you
mountain.
have to go through the mountains. So
Yeah.
it's just, it's kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. So I match with people who are all on that other side all the time. She was a little bit further south, so it wasn't too bad. But anyway, she's like, I don't mind driving. Do you want to come down here? And I was like, well, what do you want to do? She said, well, how about like Indian food? Do you want to get Indian? And I was like, no, I already ate.
No.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't mind Indian food, but I was like, I don't want to eat. Like, I'm not. I'm not really in an eating mood. How about a drink somewhere? And she says, well, I don't drink. And I was like, she goes, I'm not
Okay.
because I'm Mormon or anything. It's just like I just decided to take a break from drinking for a while because I, was drinking too heavily. And I was like, okay. She goes, I don't mind if you do. And I was like, well, if you don't mind, then I'd rather we meet up here because then I can drink and drive home. It's not me driving a half hour after having, I have to like have one drink and then that's it. And I said, this place serves food. So she met me
That
there.
sentence didn't flow. You can drink and drive home.
Drinking, well, right,
Okay, Adam.
right.
Okay.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I'm just saying that went together way too smoothly how
I
you
wanted
just
to be
said
able
that.
to have a drink and drive home and not have to drive half an hour and then
Hmm.
have a drink and worry about, how much to like try to gauge myself. So we met there. I was like, I'll meet you there. So I was like, I'll grab a seat at the bar. And then she was like, well, I'm short. Will you mind grabbing a table instead? So
Okay.
there's already, yeah, I should feel like, oh, cool, no problem. But it's like, I'm grumpy. I am set in my ways. I like to
There's
sit at the
already
bar.
conditions
Yeah,
to
there's already
stuff.
like, yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
And I was like, they're all high top tables, so I don't know what the difference is, but okay. So I did.
yeah, that's
So we grabbed this. I grabbed this to the table, and she came and sat down. She's very nice, very friendly, and we had a good conversation. And she ordered, some food and a Coke, and I had a drink and no food, and we just kind of chatted for a while. And it was, I don't know, it was just
the
like,
vibes weren't there.
yeah, it wasn't, it wasn't really just the chemistry wasn't there. And I was trying to figure out what it was and everything. And I think it's almost like, and I don't know how to describe this because she was very nice, like literally very, very nice. It was almost too eager or too like,
Not desperate, but
yeah, not
ready for the
desperate, not
next date,
desperate,
or
but
just
just
like
like, yeah,
super excited to.
yeah, like so willing to basically, it felt like very willing to do pretty much whatever just to get along and all of that. And I contrast that with, and I'll kind of cut back to this, but I contrasted it with a couple of weeks ago. I went out to Melvin's and I just sat at the bar next to the woman who was there, and she had a book and she was reading her book. But when I sat down, she said something to me about like my beard, and then I asked her about her book, and then we ended up having an entire conversation where we talked from, I think I got there like for 3 hours. Like we were there talking for 3 hours. Like she got mad at me for not eating my food. Like I ordered some food and then I let it sit there because I didn't want to try to eat and have a conversation with her. So I like was sitting there and just enjoying the conversation. And like, we were talking about something and she would just be like, I think that's kind of dumb. Or, like, and like, and very much in
She
a,
challenged you.
yeah, she was very, she challenged and pushed back and was sarcastic and wasn't worried about me liking her, was herself, and I think that, and we got along really well. And then we made plans and we met up at the bar again a week later. And that was, and we really got along. She doesn't live here. She was just visiting as a law student.
Damn.
Yeah,
Damn.
doing a clerkship. And so then she was leaving actually the next, like, the next week. She left last week to go back to she's in Washington State. And so like, but we got along really well. And then we ended up like going go out and doing a photo shoot, and then like, and ended up back at my place. And it was all just a fun thing, but it was the challenging thing that I like. And I realized, like, so I would like someone who has that sarcasm It doesn't kind of like always like tone police themselves, doesn't always like have to apologize. Oh, I'm sorry about my laugh, or I'm sorry about this. It's just like unapologetically themselves. At the same time, this date last night, she was very comfortable in her skin. She's very comfortable with herself, very confident. So it wasn't that like but it was just, yeah, it just kind of felt.
Like she was searching for the right answers for certain
Yeah, I don't.
things,
Yeah,
no?
it's really hard to describe. Yeah, I really do think it was just something along the ways of just felt very,
Well,
um,
you,
not challenging, basically.
yeah, I mean, you met this law student and had some kind of connection with her. And
Yeah,
then shortly after, this person was nice and you enjoyed talking to her,
yeah, I enjoyed talking to her.
but didn't have some of the traits that you liked in the other person that you had just met
Yeah, and I think
that
that
you
is
want.
what I yeah, I think that is what I like too, is someone who's challenging, someone who is, kind of a little bit of, like the sarcasm has to be there, like, and they don't mind getting, they don't mind getting misinterpreted if they say something sarcastic, because they're like, if you're smart enough, you'll figure it out, like that type of thing. And I
Hmm.
like that.
Kind of an asshole. I like
A
that.
little bit,
Yeah.
yeah, just a little bit, because I need someone to challenge me. That's like every, it's just that's good, because oh, this is gonna sound so egotistical. I have fans, like I have fans. I don't need a fan. And I'm not saying that this date last night was a fan technically, but she was just so like easy to get along with. Which, like, why is that a bad thing? Why am I saying that's a bad thing? But it was just kind of like, I don't know. But yeah, very nice. And like we
You
talked
wouldn't
about.
consider seeing the girl from last night again?
Well, we talked about maybe going to karaoke or something like that, and I would be considered maybe going to do that. Yeah, it could be a fun time, but I just don't really feel like the chemistry is there for me to be like want to put additional effort into anything romantic. It would be purely as a, hey, here's a cool friend that I met that lives nearby. That's kind of the extent of it.
I mean,
And,
I get that. I just don't want everything to be clouded by the law student that you met
oh no,
a
because the
couple
law student,
weeks.
that was just like a fun little thing. But she
Yeah.
was just like, but she was like an example of someone, like if she lived locally, I would have continued to
Right.
talk to her.
The way that
Absolutely.
you were talking about her just now, that gave
Yeah.
me the vibes of you liked her and you would
Oh
want
yeah.
to like continue seeing her if she wasn't leaving.
Yes, yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely, because had some fantastic conversations, and just talked for quite literally hours, and it was very nice. But
I say give it a second date and then I mean you kind of already know now, but I don't know. I would just I
like I said, I might schedule maybe a night, go do karaoke or something like that.
yeah.
The other thing is, the fact that somebody doesn't drink is not a problem with me, except that the only time that I enjoy going out and being social in any capacity is I'm going to go have a drink. Like I don't like to go out into public otherwise. Like it's just like if I'm going to go out, I just want to go have a drink, and I don't want to. And I think she's much more about trying new restaurants and things like that. And I know I'm just a grumpy like curmudgeon who's like I don't.
You wouldn't do a coffee or a
No, I don't
tea or
drink
any.
fucking coffee or
I
tea,
know, I'm
first of
just
all.
throwing out
And
ideas. I'm just
yeah.
throwing.
So um and then this was one thing that was a little off, weird. She's a massage therapist, and she suggested, she's like,
Last night. Last
yes,
night.
last night, yeah,
Shoot.
yeah.
Okay.
And she was saying, like, she's like, well, so what do you want to do? Like, would you like to? We can go for a ride. There's this place called Squaws Peak, I think, that's really cool. Like, it's you can see the whole city of Provo from there, and it's like it's really nice. It's kind of like a makeout point, but it's like really cute and everything like that. And I was like,
Okay.
and it's like a half hour south of there, and I'm like, I'm not driving anywhere right now. And she goes, no, I'll drive us and drive us back. And I was like,
That's a little
no.
trying too hard for me.
And
Like
well,
she
yeah,
probably meant well, but I think
well,
it
it
was a little
continues.
too. Oh, okay.
And then
Okay.
and I was also like, hey, listen, me moving to from my place to put pants on and move to this location was like a huge thing. Moving to a second location isn't happening. So she's like, well, we can go back to your place if you want and like do something, watch a movie or something. And I was like, my place, I don't feel is clean enough for company. Like I wouldn't feel okay with that. I want to make sure that I have, that I feel good.
Right.
And so she's like, well, you could use a massage. I can tell that you like your neck is sore. And I was like, no, I think I'm good. And, and then when she was just like, she insisted a couple times and she was very nice about it, but she's like, are you sure? She goes, oh no, you already said no, but are you sure? I really think that it could be fun, or we could go down here. And I was thinking to myself, like, if the roles were reversed, how unacceptable that would be. if I was like, hey, why don't we go back to your place? I'll give you a massage. And she was like, no, I'm okay. And I'd be like, come on, why don't you want to do that? I can tell you need one, like, and it would be,
it's just like a normal interaction when the vibe isn't that the other person is really about it, you just drop it. I think
right.
continuing to push it just makes it really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
It should be both people are uncomfortable.
Right. Cause I was like, I'm just not, and I don't want to go back to my place. I don't want to I did not, because it's just like, cause I'm not also looking to get laid. It doesn't really do, like, that's not why I'm out here. I'm trying to make friends and meet new people, but and so I was just trying to be very, very nice about it, but it was getting a little frustrating. At that
then
point.
okay, I no second date. Then I wouldn't do a second date. That's, you didn't tell me. I didn't know this. So
Yeah. We hadn't talked about it.
Yeah.
And then this is kind of funny, and I this is me in asshole mode here. I'm gonna say this. And then
Oh boy.
one of the other bartenders from the bar, who usually works at Melvin's, came in and was sitting down at the bar with her friends, coming out for drinks, and they were all like just kind of chilling. It was all staff basically, and so at some point I was just kind of like, I kind of want the date to be over so I can just go chill with the staff and just like sit at the bar and have like the rest and stay till the bar closes, like I kind of just want like to do that. And I was trying to like give like some hints and everything like that. She finally picked up on it. She's like, well, I'm going to go because my friend wants me to come by. So I'm going to go by visit her. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm just going to probably stay here until we close, until the bar closes, probably close the bar down. And then I ordered a shot to go to the bar. I was like, hey, just put it at the bar. I'll be over there in a minute. If I, put a seat at the bar just to make it like clear that that's what because I didn't want to be rude and be like, okay, date is over. I'm staying here though, so I don't need you don't have to leave. I mean, you don't like I don't need to leave, but I'm done with the date. And
that was probably real awkward for her too. That just sounds so a lot of the end of the date sounds so awkward.
I was also getting very quiet because I was getting a little tired, but not tired enough to leave, because once I'm there I want to like finish being there. I'm going to enjoy the entire experience, but I was also getting tired, and I was just like, yeah, my social battery was kind of drained. So then she left, and then I ended up closing down the bar with everyone there.
That's so man, I would have just fucking lied and been like, yeah, I'm leaving too, and then gone to my car and then come back, because I feel like you staying there ordering a shot makes it so much more fucking awkward for both. Like, it's awkward for her because I'm thinking if a guy did that to me, I'd be like, what the fuck, like you're gonna stay? That's weird. So and then it's a little awkward for you to be like, get the fuck out. Leave,
obviously, and I had to be very careful, very tactful about it. But I was kind of like, yeah, I'm already here. I'm just going to continue to be here. But our date has ended.
Shake hands. It is over.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, the connection just wasn't there. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, so yeah, that was just it. So then I was there. Yeah, I had just hanging out with the bartenders, and we were just all chatting, and yeah.
You closed it down?
Bunch of people. Yeah, I mean, it closes at fucking 11 because it's Utah.
Oh, that.
So late. Yeah, so late.
I could close that down.
Yeah, even you could. Yeah.
Wow, that makes me feel proud. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
But otherwise, yes. So that's the experience that I've had so far. It's actually only like I said, the second date I've been on since I've been here, because I found that, and I was talking to her last night about this, that I found that a lot of people are either immediately former LDS, where they are partying hard because they're free, and so they're flaky because they're getting too drunk and they're like hungover a lot, and like they're really aggressively partying. Or they do that, and now they're like kind of circling back around, and they're stopping drinking because they went too hard because she's former LDS as well. So
that was my next question.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she circled back around to not drinking because she went too hard, because she didn't know anything about how to drink in moderation, because the Mormons are fucking crazy. And so she had no idea how to drink in moderation when she was no longer Mormon. So yeah. It's really interesting. But that's the only second date I've been on, because I guess the law student one was just meeting and organically, it's funny how nice that can be when you do meet someone organically. I did enjoy that. Like, we really clicked and got along well, and yeah, she's be a cool friend to have now. Yeah. And it was actually the first time that I'd made out with somebody in a while too. Like, it's been a while for me. So
wait, you made so you made out with the law student. I'm just clarifying.
Yeah. It was funny because we were talking about, and I was like, I really think you would look good like in these white aspens. I'd love to do a photo shoot with you in the white aspens. She's like, I'm very uncomfortable like being a model. Like I don't like the idea of it. Like, and I was like, if you're willing to try, I would never force you to, but if you're willing to try, I'd love to do it. And then this is our second night meeting out. We were hanging out. We were sitting outside in the courtyard by the city, the city hall or whatever. And she goes, I'll tell you what, you can either make out with me right now or you can do the photo shoot. And I was like, not both. She goes, no, if we make out right now, then I'm leaving in 2 days. You're never going to see me again. And I was like, honestly, I'd rather just do the photo shoot and I like spending time with you. Like that's more important to me than making out. So then we did the photo shoot and she was just very good and did it was really cool and everything like that. And like she saw the photos like, oh wow, like I love it. Like these are really cool.
How did you know she was going to be good? Just her.
And I mean, and like she had just a look that I was like, I feel like this will look really cool. And they came out really neat. They were clothed, by the way. They were not nude shoots.
I figured that much, but thank you for clarifying because
I did ask. I was like, are you willing to? And she was like, no, probably not. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't mind. Like I just wanted cool shoots in the woods, and that was fun.
Is this on Instagram?
Yeah, it's on Instagram. Yeah, it's the last couple shots that I have on there, and it was funny though. She was driving up to the woods with me, so she like texted. I gave her my. She wanted to drive separately. She has no air conditioning. It's 90 fucking degrees out, and I said, "I'll tell you what. I want you to feel comfortable and safe. So here's my driver's license. Please take a picture of it. Send it to your best friend. Like tell her where you are. Tell her where we're going. Like I want you to feel safe, but I also don't want you to have to drive in 90 fucking degree weather with no air conditioning. Like and follow behind me up into the mountains. Like." So we could take one car. So we did. And then we were walking around and everybody was in the woods taking pictures. I got to the woods apparently right at golden hour. And they were like, yeah. So then we found the spot where like, I thought it'd be cool. And then there's like these two Mormons having like a picnic and they're sitting there with a Bible and their picnic and all this shit. Yeah, it was very bizarre. But then we got back to my place and we had drinks. We had drinks and everything. We're just sitting here talking. And at some point, she's like, I have to go now. I have to like leave. I have to drive back. I have to drive to Washington tomorrow morning or tomorrow after work. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I gave her a hug and I was like, would it be okay if I kissed you? And she's like, oh, you're going to do both, are you? And so then we made out for a little while. And then when we finished, she goes, all right, see you never. And then left. It was pretty funny.
Okay.
But it was nice. I haven't done that in a while. And I've got another date with someone else that I matched with on Tinder on Friday. It's a karaoke date. So
oh man, that sounds like hell to me. But
no. I feel like to me that's easy because you talk, you get up and sing, you come back and talk. Like it's kind of like a good like act.
I wouldn't get up and sing and embarrass myself on a first date, but we've talked about that before. Yeah.
Like that's part of I feel like that's endearing when someone is willing to just go up there and just sing and have fun with it. And she said she's new to the area and she's looking for she's like, I don't know any like cool places or whatever. And so I put it out there on Twitter for anybody that lives locally. And they're like, hey, I'll try this place. And I was like, hey, they do karaoke Friday night. Would you like to try that? And so yeah, that should be fun.
Okay, cool.
And then it's funny, it's at the same time that I've had these two dates, I've been kind of overwhelmed on the apps. I had too many conversations, too many matches going. So I've kind of like started pulling away and stopped, like just kind of gotten quiet on them. And then also 2 in a row. But like, yeah, it's gotten too much, too many people.
Are the conversations just never ending and not seeming like you'll get off the apps?
Well, a lot of it is because where they live, I have to try to plan something where I can go into Salt Lake City. I don't want to ask them to drive over here. I feel like that's not fair. And so I'm trying to, find a spot like what's a good time in the middle. Sometimes they're busy. So it's just been a thing. Or sometimes like there's Bumble. Sometimes these are some Bumble ones where I matched with somebody and she was great. And she's like 49 miles away. And I'm like, why would Bumble do that? I don't have it set to 49 miles away. It's like Bumble's like, oh, you know what? We ran out of people. So let's just push this. Or she happened to be close by when we matched. And now she actually was funny because she said that she recognized me from TikTok. And she's like, thanks to you, I'm going to, she goes, I've been doing a lot better avoiding what you call the smooth brain shit weasels, which is one of my
That's your line.
phrases. So then that actually inspired me to create a t-shirt that I have for merch now that says I swipe left on smooth brain shit weasels. And people seem to enjoy that as well.
Gotta plug the t-shirt, I guess.
Gotta plug the t-shirt. Yeah, you can find that on my link tree, which is in my Instagram and on my TikTok, my merch store. I have the bacon stuff there too. This is bacon. as well.
The
So
TikTok man,
yeah.
the legend over here.
Oh yeah, you know it. So that's I think that's all that's going on in my life.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to hear about this karaoke date and other future dates the next time we talk.
Yeah, we'll see what else happens after that.
Cool.
Before we get to the topic, we wanted to give a couple shout outs to some countries where we were ranking, or Dating Kind of Sex was ranking in their country. And so I wanted to shout out to India, the Philippines, Finland, Greece, and Kenya. So that's good. So Finland,
cool.
That's interesting. Well, Norway, Sweden, Netherlands. Where are you guys? I mean, come on. Like I expect Denmark. Like I feel like you guys should all be in on this. So just Finland apparently is getting on the dating kind of sex movement, the DKS train. But thank you to all of our listeners. I know you always think this is ridiculous ideas.
You try to make it a thing.
I'll try to
the
make
DKS train.
The
yeah.
DKS train. Yeah, traveling across the world, getting listeners. And I also wanted to remind you that if you have any questions about dating, sex, relationships, anything related to the topic of like anything, literally about anything about it, even actually good places to take to go on dates or travel destinations as well.
Mm-hmm.
You could ask anything like that. You can call our DKS hotline, which is 407-519-0181. And you can leave a voicemail, and we will play your voicemail and answer your question to the best of our limited abilities.
Limited. Okay.
I mean, we got to be realistic here.
We're no experts.
We're just two garbage people spewing our own random shit on the end of the world.
That's fine. That's what you'll get when you call our number.
That's what you get. Call our number. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we will be right back.
I know how old you were when you were masturbating and getting caught by your parents or whatever. So let's know. All right. That should have just been the intro right there. I'm sorry. I can't. Adam, how old were you when you lost your virginity? Because we all know you were in your teens when you got caught by your parents masturbating and walking naked through the house. So
that's right. Yes,
couldn't have been far from that, right?
You think it wouldn't have been, but I was actually 21. Did you know that?
21.
Yeah, it wasn't until law school. It wasn't until I actually met
Amy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, which is part of the problem of the whole marriage, because I didn't realize like what sex was. I didn't know what good sex was. So.
But you didn't wait until marriage.
No. We just, once we started dating, we had sex, but I wanted to. I went, in high school, I didn't want to. I was like, no, I'm gonna, stay chaste or whatever. And then,
what does that mean?
I don't know. It was like, I felt like I should stay, chaste until marriage. And then in college, I was like, no, I want to fuck. But I couldn't find anybody to fuck. So that was kind of the problem. And so then law school finally. And yeah, how old were you?
20.
20? Okay. Yeah.
But I was the same way. I wanted to wait until marriage, and then I just was.
Why am I thinking this? Yeah. Right?
No, it was just like, I guess I'll. This is gonna be my forever partner. I guess we'll just have sex now. Just those words. But yeah, 20.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I think that virginity and being a virgin is one of those things that society has decided is important, and I have decided that we're going to dispel the myth of virginity in this episode. And this is kind of really interesting, and this is the reason that I think it's a problem, why virginity is something that we need to get rid of. The whole concept completely, just entirely get rid of it.
Let's cue this up for the rant now.
For the rant. I mean, you're gonna have to interject here, because I will just keep going. But first of all, and this is just a little less. The terms virgin and virginity were introduced in English in the 13th century via the French virgin, derived from Latin virgo, which basically means created for a man. Like that's essentially
what?
Yeah, it's essentially what virginity is it means essentially like a woman who's basically a female who's in like being married off to a man, and like her virginity. So like being a virgin is it's basically you're there for the existence of men. So that that right there is problematic. Like that's why
created by men. This term the term is meant to say created for a man, but this term was created by men.
Oh, it was created by men. Yes, of course. Yeah. Yes, of course. Created by men. Right. To be like, oh yes, this is
you're created for a man.
A virgin is created for man, for basically a man to, to
Bust a nut in.
despoil. Yes, bust a nut in.
Let's just call it what it is. Okay?
As a result, yeah. So virginity's become this thing. Obviously, for years, everyone sacrificed virgins. Virgins are unique. Virgins are somehow special, unless you're a man, in which case being a virgin is a shameful thing, and you should be ashamed if you're a virgin. Which then, of course, which is whole contradictory too. So like if you're young and you're a virgin and you're a man, well, you should be out there fucking. But then if you're a woman, you should stay a virgin. So like, that's a little ridiculous too.
Do you know anything when it comes to religion and men having sex before marriage? Is it just a sin across the board, or is it only for women that it's a sin?
Well, that's the thing. It's I think it's
because I've never heard men ever being told, "Oh, it's a sin to have sex before marriage." But I remember specifically being told that it was a sin.
Men are told that too. Like there's a whole. I mean, because what this is creating is a purity culture, the whole purity culture nonsense, and so that does exist for men too. I had a comedian friend who said that like his church or whatever, he had a purity ring that just promises to basically be pure until marriage. And he's like, it was a beautiful ring. Unfortunately, I lost it inside my girlfriend.
My friend actually lost hers at the beach, and that was the ongoing joke.
Just the joke was just saying, it was a very funny joke. Anyways, religion is a big part of this, obviously, and then it's beyond religion, because even in secular culture, virginity is still important. Like we see these fucking dating coach for men, and these men like these pickup artists and these stuff like that, saying that you want a woman with little experience. Any woman who's been round the block is not someone who's not a high value.
Trick her into staying with you for longer because she thinks that she got a good one. Mm-hmm.
Right. And they're like, if she's been around too much, she's not a high value woman, which is just, insecure and pathetic. And also like, it's absolutely ridiculous. So this idea that someone being a virgin is there's a lot of problems with it. Start with the hymen, and we can talk about, we can get this into like your maybe your experience.
Okay. We can talk about the hymen if you want to talk about it.
We're gonna talk about the hymen for a minute. Have you had an experience with with when your hymen broke?
No fucking idea.
Right.
No fucking idea. It didn't happen when I lost my virginity.
Right.
Because that's what I was worried about. I'm gonna bleed on the sheets. No, there was nothing. So then I was like, wait, what?
You were in color guard, right? So you were active.
I was active, yeah.
It probably happened, like probably was something that just happened at one point just from being active, because that's like people like horseback riding, bike riding.
That's always the example, yeah.
Splits, jumping, like all these things can like cause it to. So it's not like it can break all the time, like doing anything. And so there is no actual physical marker for virginity, but there's still idiots out in the world who think that it is. Think that the hymen. I think wasn't there something with T.I.?
Oh, I don't know anything about T.I.
The musician.
Yes.
Okay. Was something where he had said something about he wanted his he had his doctor check his daughter.
Fuck, I do remember that.
Daughter's hymen or some bullshit like that.
To make sure that they were but his daughter was in her late teens or 20s. Yeah, it was some wild age.
It was, let's see. Hold on.
I forgot about that completely.
Yes, this was like 3 years ago. T.I. says he has his daughter's hymen checked annually.
But that's none of his fucking business.
Yep. He visits the gynecologist every year with his daughter to check her hymen.
He stays in the room? Like what?
Apparently. And she's 18, by the way.
Yeah, I figured she was of legal age. Also, a parent asking that should be a concerning thing for a physician to be like, what else is going on at home that you're asking those things?
Yeah. I mean,
what forms of abuse? I don't know. That to me is an issue.
I would really wonder. So he also said that, by the way, he'd been told the hymen could be torn or broken in activities like bike riding, athletics, horseback riding, and just other forms of physical activity. This is his response. So I say, look, doc, she don't ride no horses. She don't ride no bikes. She don't play no sports. Just check the hymen, please, and give me back my results expeditiously.
What the fuck? Oh, I would be mortified if I was his daughter.
Oh, it's so awful. So
that's terrible.
So even in modern society, there are still fucking morons out there who think the hymen has any type of indication of virginity.
So There was also a couple other fucked up ways to measure virginity in other countries that I found.
Oh yeah.
Like in 2013, India's Supreme Court finally ruled out, which means this had been on the books in some way, shape, or form, finally ruled out the 2-finger test. Apparently, if a doctor could fit 2 fingers inside of a rape victim, that meant she consented to sex.
That is, which is just
None of that makes any fucking sense.
no.
And then the country of Georgia still has a tradition called, I'm going to butcher this, Yangi, I'm guessing,
Probably
where the
Yenga, yeah,
something like that, where the groom shows blood-stained sheets to his relatives as proof of virginity. Like, what happens when there's no blood?
Right.
Do you just what the fuck do you wait until her period to just splatter some on there? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, what happens?
I can't.
Yeah, is that like to be proud that there's blood too, but also Yenga or whatever, which is different than Jenga. Those are very different things. Let's just make that clear.
Thank you for making that clear. Yes, but those societal it's showboaty societal things that are like, I'm still a virgin, but they don't hold up to anything. Right. Like, it's the same thing of, oh, she's like a hot dog in a hallway. I could throw a hot dog in a hallway of like her vagina is so loose. That's not a thing. That's like, oh, she's so tight, she must be a virgin. Not a thing. Oh, none of those are actually like relevant when it comes to virginity.
Shows, how poor the medical knowledge is for among most of society.
It's not like you're a virgin. Oh, you're not. And you're a completely different person. I think that's what's painted in a lot of people's minds as young kids, impressionable people. And then you lose your virginity, which let's talk about losing virginity after. You lose your virginity and it's like, I still feel the fucking same. Like, it's just virginity. I saw a quote, it's like, virginity is an experience, not a state of being, which is just a great way to sum it up of, yeah, it's just what happened. Yeah. It's not I'm this, now I'm this. That like doesn't fucking matter at all. And we're just so tied up in like losing virginity, like it's a fucking bad thing. Like, it's just a negative connotation that's never going to make it seem like a good thing. No matter how enjoyable the experience is, it's going to be like, well, you lost something about you that was special, which is not the case.
Right, which is not the case. And I think that that's really the thing is there's so much focus from society all across the world on virginity that people are always looking for loopholes around it, because it's like this very narrow concept. It's a very heteronormative concept of what virginity is as well. But like, so I mean, and you are a great example. It's basically like when we talked about, and not necessarily virginity, but about sex, about defining sex, is that you would say, I don't have sex until I'm in a relationship. But you would have oral sex. And that was different, and like, because we like somehow define, well, that's not, so that I do want to I want to wait until we get into that deeper. But what I want to say is, so first of all, I think this is all patriarchal is what this boils down to. It's this idea of you protect your daughter, you keep her a virgin, and you pass her on to marry.
Sell her for whatever cows and whatever, you trade her out
or whatever. And then if she is a virgin, then she has higher value than if she doesn't. And then, to someone that she gets married. And then and then it doesn't matter apparently. After she's divorced, well, she's no longer a virgin. She has no.
But also, she'll make a better wife if she's a virgin. What? It's like, these are indicators of a better person you want to be with.
I can see why they say that, because they want someone submissive who doesn't know better, who doesn't understand that, that she has, a terrible husband, or who's a terrible lover, and all these other things. And so that's why I think the only types of people who want virgins, like the only men out there who want virgins, are either creeps or weirdos. Like that's it. There is no logical reason to want a virgin. You're either awful in bed and they don't want their partner to realize it, so they want someone who's so inexperienced that they think that like 20 seconds of fucking and then oh, did you come, is like a good sexual experience for them. Or they're borderline pedophiles, and so they only want virgins because they want, like, they think
that's the people who want to pay for virgins will pay to take people's virginity. That shit is borderline being a pedophile.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's creepy as fuck. So those are creepy. or they're weirdos who think, that their sky daddy is going to get mad if purity isn't kept intact, and the people who are uber religious who subscribe to purity culture, which all that does is just shame people for having normal natural thoughts.
Listen, we're all going to hell. Nothing fucking matters. Virginity doesn't matter. I don't know, Roy and I have had this conversation. A lot of the shit that was written in scriptures and all of this was by a group of men who wanted to control other fucking people.
Yep.
That's exactly what this is. It's just a way to fucking control women. And we hold on to it because this was coined in the 13th century. Well, it's tradition. And that's the way it always has been. And now, why do you think people are so intrigued by like 50 Shades of Grey or whatever? Because there's all these sexual awakenings that people are having later in life going, oh shit. If I would have just been more aware of these other things, maybe this wouldn't be such a fucking shock to my system. But no, I needed to be a virgin because that's what was going to make me a good woman for society.
Exactly. And the stigma of it is so ridiculous. And so I think that, it's the other big issue with this, and then why this is a problem and why this is something that we have to address, is that it makes the concept of virginity, just the very concept, makes men think that their dicks are some magic wands. It's like,
you changed me.
With one thrust, I can change a girl into a woman. Like it's basically like it's just some transformative instrument that has magical powers.
But he doesn't change,
right?
What changes for the man?
Yeah. People are like, oh, now you're a real man when they'll hire a sex worker or whatever for someone who has, who's still a virgin. And then, oh yeah, now you're a real man. And it's just like, it doesn't, but yeah. So, what I think this whole concept of virginity and the idea that men think that their dicks somehow do change girls into women leads to the entitlement that men also think that they're entitled to a woman's time and space. And leads to, how many times have we heard stories of like someone who's like a lesbian and men being like, oh, well, you haven't been with me, baby.
I'll change you. Yeah.
I'll change you, because they quite literally think that their dick is magical. And I think we really need to get rid of this concept. Guys, your dicks are not that special. Even the most special magical dick out there is still not that special. It still lasts for a couple minutes, spits a bunch of shit out, and then shrinks. Like it's just really... Okay, it's just
and shrinks.
It's just like a water balloon with a leak. Okay, it's not really that fucking special. Stop thinking your dick is amazing.
The only thing that's amazing are vibrators, but I digress.
Right. I mean, ones that have batteries that can do what you want. And men get very upset about the idea of being replaced with toys because they think their dicks are actually magical. Whereas if you're an actual adult and you're an emotionally intelligent man, you would understand that toys just enhance the experience. But there are men too who refuse to allow toys in the bed with their partner. Yeah, absolute red flag.
Yeah.
So
go on. You're not finished yet. You took a breath.
I took a breath. Okay, but I just want to see if you had anything to add before I dive right back into this here.
Go for it.
Okay, so it all comes down to the definition of sex, and the idea that sex is just penis in the vagina is, like I said, it's heteronormative nonsense. Okay, because there are lots of different types of sexes. It's also vanilla. It's very vanilla. The idea that
I also think people are scared of when you're grown up in this virginity on a silver platter mindset, you're scared to a degree to have sex because of the implications of what that means. So it's easier to look at oral sex as not on a silver platter because that hasn't been talked about. Like in my case, that hasn't been talked about. So that's fine versus P&V because that's what's been put on a silver platter my entire life. So I'm more afraid to have it, and I want to hold off on doing that. So I'll just do all of these other things because that hasn't been mentioned as being an issue. And it's just all of what's perpetuated in your communities of virginity that you're like, okay, I'll hold off on P&V, but I'll do all of these other things because those at least seem okay.
Right. That's a very good point. Is because it is like elevated. And so there's this still stigma around it. And I think by defining it by that, we're just we're making it so it's not okay for kids to learn more about what sex is. They're told that, oh, well, it's just when a man puts his penis inside of a woman's vagina, which is,
They're not even
just,
told that. Like
well,
that's not even part of the equation
but
of the
let's,
conversation.
that's
Yeah.
the basis of basic sex education. And we have to look at it, expanding the definition of what sex means. I mean, people with penises have sex with other people with penises. People with vaginas have sex with other people with vaginas. There's no P and V there. People, Catholic schoolgirls will say that they're staying pure and they're virgins, but then they'll have anal sex. I mean, that's a whole, cliche and trope from years ago, that the Catholic schoolgirls were the dirtiest girls because they wanted to make sure they remained virgins. They would do everything else.
Because they were afraid of that one thing that was put on a silver platter.
Right. So they would be kinky as fuck in every other way except no actual P and V. So I think that, I think sex needs to be redefined. And I think that, so because the concept of virginity is we need to get rid of, but the idea of sex needs to be, what is sex? Like, what is sex? Sex is intimacy, maybe where someone has at least one person has an orgasm, maybe something where there's some type of genital to something contact, whether it's dick to ass or vagina to vagina or mouth to vagina, mouth to ass, whatever it can be, that it needs to be called sex. And the law student that I was talking to when she was here, she's bi or pan. She has a partner in Washington who was a woman, and she was saying, she's like, yeah, we have sex. And I was talking about it, and I think I said at one point, I said intercourse, and she was like, no, I'm just talking about sex. Like sex, we still have sex even though there might not be any penetration, and I call it sex, and I think it's important to call it sex. And I was like, that's a very good point. And that was the same type of concept here, is that sex needs to be redefined so that instead of people saying, well, I need to lose my virginity, they start to learn about safe sex all types of sex being safe, and being careful and being tested, that, and more than just P and V. We need to understand there's so many different types and so many variations out there, that intimacy is the important thing, and making sure you're safe and comfortable with somebody is what's important. Not, are you a virgin? Are you not a virgin?
No, I 100% agree. And then spreading that awareness of other types of sex, like you said, preventative methods, and just being aware of safety with other STIs and things like that, of because I know growing up, it was I can only get an STI if P and V, it was no education on anything. And it's no, you can get it other ways too. You're just only focusing on this one thing. That's if we open up the realm of, like you said, somebody's orgasming and there's, mouth and however, any of those circumstances, that's what we define sex as, opens it up to, if you do that, you could get this. Just be aware of these things. Here are all these tools so that you're safe. We just focus on condoms and P and V, and that'll be enough to get you through. And then people have issues and not complications, but STIs and things, and well, I don't know how I got this because I wasn't having sex. And you're well, actually that is
right. Yeah. And the other thing is, people are so concerned with, well, I don't want to break my hymen, or we can't actually have sex because I have to stay a virgin, that they will do other things where they would, I can't remember what it's called, not docking, but it's something where you put your penis on top of someone, on top of their vagina, and you just kind of rub their clit with your dick, basically.
Yep, that was a thing in high school.
Yeah, and because you're well, at least we're not having sex.
Well, and, it's I can't get pregnant from this, and I can't get an STI. Until you
accidentally do, because
exactly.
It comes splashes in by accident or whatever. And
and that's the thing, is that there's so much lack of information with that a lot of people, at least in the early stages of having sex in your teens and early 20s, is well, I don't want to get pregnant at this stage. So what can I do to not get pregnant? Cool. I'll perform blowjobs and we'll do the rubbing of the clit thing. And then you get an STI or potentially get pregnant, and you're but I didn't have sex. And then that's
right.
It doesn't work like that.
So I think that if we can redefine sex and we can redefine virginity, and then we can solve the world. That's solve the world's problems. That's really what we're doing here. Big stuff, very important stuff.
It's a lot of getting out of your own head, though, and deconstructing all of the things that you've been taught as a kid. That's
Yes.
the fucking mind fuck of it all. Of going, oh, this is okay. Oh, it doesn't matter what other people think about how many people I've had sex with. Oh, it doesn't matter. Because then once you break down virginity, then you break down the stigmas around kinks related to sex. And then you're like, oh, cool. I just like what I like, and we're good to go from here. But if we're still focused on the virginity aspect, we'll never make strides in other aspects of our sex lives.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Um, I think that, like there's so many people that also like that they have bad first experiences too because of this pressure to lose your virginity. Because like, oh, I need to lose my virginity before I become too old to, like then everybody will make fun of me. And so then they're like, it's a thing that like, oh, I have to try to rush and just have sex with somebody, just to, like just have intercourse with somebody, just so I can get it over with. And then of course it also allows boys to use that as pressure to like,
Yep.
oh well, you don't want me to, go off to war as a virgin, or like things like that, like that,
Yeah.
like,
Fuck
and
yeah.
obviously that's not really but it is to a degree. It's like, oh well, I thought before we
I'm
went away
going
to
away for
college,
college.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
we're never gonna see each other for like, you don't want me to be a virgin there. People will make fun of me, and so they use it as a way to coerce women into having sex too. So that's another aspect of this.
And of course, at that time, they're not aware of coercion and like they
Right.
know that it's wrong, but they don't know like why it's wrong,
I don't
you
know
know?
exactly how. Yeah.
Their brains haven't formed, you're just so young at that point that it's like, I know that I don't want to be made fun of. And I know that sex is something, if I say I've had sex, my life will get exponentially easier. So let's just get this shit over with, whether I'm drunk at a stupid party or it's
Mhm.
just with some random guy or girl I don't really care for.
Right. And instead of having wholesome, fun sexual experiences as their first time, they have something terrible because they just wanted to, to make a point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I so as the lawyer in me wants to say, like, how would we redefine sex, and then how I'd actually like to define it, I think, is, and I'd like to see if people agree with me on this, is
Per the
define it.
definition.
Yes, exactly. Where the new definition of sex is maybe something like intimate body contact between two people with the intention of at least one achieving an orgasm, even if they don't actually get there. Just the intention of one get having an orgasm.
I
Like I
like
feel
that.
like that's kind of sex. I feel like that with that as a broad definition could define sex, and I think you could also use that to redefine things like sexual assault and rape as well, because rape requires penetration. It used to. It's recently changed, but like so many years, like they're like, well, men can't be raped because it requires penetration. And so if a woman, absolutely men can be raped by other men, but men couldn't be raped by
Yeah.
women because it requires penetration. And they had to change it to be like, oh no, I guess it can be unwanted, sexual. But the fact that penetration of any type is still or like somehow a requirement is just, sex should be more than that. It is more than that. It is just as, important to recognize, like I said, that giving head is to someone is sex, and going down on someone and doing anal and whatever.
Yep. That
So
pleasure. Yeah.
yeah. So I think yeah, the goal, and I think that if you started to focus on that, and this is why I think this is an important topic, is that people can have healthier sexual experiences, and also people who are not straight, not your normal straight couple, also aren't like left in the dark when it comes to sex, that they are part of the discussion and part of the conversation, and that I think that could make a big difference.
I agree. I'm just trying to think like of my friends who are gay, like they don't consider themselves virgins, but it wasn't like a topic of conversation where they're like, I'm not
Right.
it's just like, yeah, I've had sex. The
Yeah,
end.
but people will be like, "Oh, well, you took someone's anal virginity." Like they'll say things like that, because
Huh.
like it's and I think that like just we need to just get rid of fucking virginity as a concept in any way. You know what? You are, when you're an adult when you decide you're an adult when you decide. I mean, someone can be really fucking kinky, they could be like sexually enlightened, they could be experienced and never have actually had lost their quote unquote virginity.
That's
That
very true. Yeah.
like they could be one of the kinkiest people, who knows how to make someone come without a problem and has never actually lost their that virginity by. So like that's why it's a stupid concept, and I think it does more harm than good, and it shames women and shames men, and it allows men to continue to kind of subjugate and control women, and I think that's the biggest problem.
My other thought is, at what point does virginity stop shaming women once you've hit a certain age? Like, I feel like when you're younger and you've had sex younger, I feel that there's more shame in that of, oh, she's easy. Oh, she's just whatever, sleeping with everybody and a whore. But like once you get into your even just like in your 20s, it's like, does that really even matter anymore? Like, when do people just stop caring? Do some people just never? Because I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I would say, emotionally aware and mature adults don't care, but there's this bunch of just ridiculous men who still care about it. Like a woman
it's the
who is
men.
a sexually enlightened woman who is empowered and enjoys sex and knows it and doesn't have a problem going out and having sex when she wants is a threat to men like this. And so they try everything they can to try to reduce her, control her, insult her, etc. And
No
her,
matter the age.
yeah, no matter the age.
Mm.
So
Damn.
yeah,
I just feel like it's more like women attacking women from the virginity front, at least when you're younger. That I
in the
just
in the purity culture environment, I can see that being like, like kind of oh well, yeah, she like the girls
before
who like
marriage and
gossip and
after,
everything like that. Yeah,
yeah.
but
But I guess as you get older, then it's the men who really turn and are the shittier ones. The insecure, toxic masculinity men who are the shittier ones who don't like that you've had sex.
yeah, when you're younger, it's going to be women who are probably either jealous or projecting, and then it's also
Mm-hmm.
going to be men who are using it as a way to try to get in your pants, like as a coercion tactic or something as well. And then as it gets older, women stop being as, although every now and then I see like some slut shaming on TikTok too from like a woman. I'm like, why are you shaming this person for just doing so?
Being
It always boils down to some type of jealousy or some type of self-hatred they're projecting onto somebody. And then it comes to these men who, like I said, are either borderline pedophiles because they want a virgin, or they're so bad in bed. That really is what I like every time. And I like to say that all the time because they get so angry at that. I'm like, you're so awful in bed
I've pleasured 20 women. Okay.
that you want a virgin or someone who has very little experience because you don't want them to know how terrible you are in bed. And they'll be like, well, that's not it at all. And they get all angry about it. It's pretty funny. Or you're religious. And so you think that Sky Daddy is going to be mad at you if if you don't stay a virgin. Well, I promise he doesn't give a shit. She doesn't give a shit. They don't give a shit.
They don't give a shit. Exactly. Yeah, it's just not a thing. Virginity's not, it shouldn't be a thing. And what you do with another person is your fucking business, whether you did it before marriage or you waited or you had sex early or whatever. It just doesn't matter as long as it's between two consenting adults and the end. And hopefully somebody comes.
Hopefully somebody comes.
Yeah.
And then maybe next time people who say that they don't have sex before relationships might think about that if they like do, or they will give head or whatever. Like, no, you're still
Well,
having sex.
that's the thing. It's like the one couple I know specifically that waited and like bragged, I think is the word I'm going to use. They, made it a point to say that they waited until marriage to have sex. I'm like, I know you guys were fucking going down on one another all the time
Right.
and we're constantly horny. And I even asked, like, don't you just want to have sex now? And it was like, no, I'm waiting because that's, what we believe. And I'm like, do you also believe you shouldn't be sucking his dick on a Tuesday after work? Like what? What exactly? Does Sky Daddy approve of that and not,
Right, yeah.
whatever? So
listen, Jesus sees everything. So, he's watching you suck that Tuesday afternoon dick too.
Does Sky Daddy disapprove of you watching porn with your soon-to-be husband? I don't, like,
Right.
why draw the line at P and V? If you want to be pure, shouldn't cuss anymore either, and you shouldn't do this. But okay, sure, let's just focus on P&B.
Yeah, but it's all a way for people just to feel better about themselves, I think. I think we kind of really got through this, and I feel like it is something that I hope that people who are listening do see why this is such an important issue. That maybe if you have kids, maybe instead of talking about virginity, you stop worrying about that and start focusing on healthy sex conversations instead.
How to be safe.
Yeah, how to be safe, how to make sure that you're in a consensual, that you can, you consent, that you're comfortable, that you can, set boundaries and all those things. So, anything else you want to add?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, we definitely popped the cherry on this episode.
I was waiting for some cheesy ass shit because I did not have it. Nope.
I know we didn't have anything written down, but I knew we had to come up with something. We'd like to see your thoughts as well, or hear your thoughts. You can share them in our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/DKS podcast.
And if you're watching right now on YouTube or not, check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/datingkindasucks. You can visit our Instagram at datingkindasucks. And don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. It's been a while since we've had one. So if you're still here, please.
Right. If you're a new listener, which I know we have a bunch of new listeners, then please go leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whichever you use.
It's been months.
Yeah. You know, it just it happens. People, because we have like a happy group of listeners, I think. And so like, I've already left a review. Well, you know what? I still know there's lots of you who haven't. So please do that. You can email us with any questions at datingkindasuckspodcast@gmail.com. You can call us with questions at the DKS hotline 407-519-0181. And for $5 a month, you can support us and our efforts on Patreon at patreon.com/DKS podcast.
Did you already do the Facebook group?
I did the Facebook group. I did not do their TikToks, but you can follow us
Oh,
on TikTok.
see, I don't, now I'm like, fuck TikTok, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of, sometimes I get that way too, but I still do it. You can follow us on TikTok. Sarah's at simply Sarah G_, and I am at Adam Heathavitable. And with that,
there you go.
We should be back in 2 weeks with a brand new episode, unless Sarah's
new cadence. This is our new cadence is 2 weeks, because 1 week was a lot and the lack of guests currently. So
yeah, it was a lot of work to get a guest. I want to still have guests, but we're going to get back into it. But you know, the summer is kind of a slower period for us anyway, so
it's true.
We're gonna do this for a bit, and then we'll see what happens. But thank you for joining us again, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yuck, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.